ChadArmesTV, man. We are back with another interview from the interview series. And this is another interview that we've had slated for a little bit now. And it was just getting a timing thing together. Both schedules of ours have been busy. But I'm really excited to be sitting in front of this talented gentleman right here. This is Hank Malone.
What's up, y'all? I'm Hank.
How's it going, man?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm so glad to be here. Like you said, been a while, and Megan, I think we set this up like a year ago sometime.
Yeah.
And just been, I went through some personal stuff that we'll get to.
Yeah.
And yeah, finally kind of getting that behind me. And now we're finally able to do this. I'm, like I said, grateful to be here, blessed, and very thankful.
No, for sure, man. Same here, dude. And we'll do these like we always do these chat arms interviews, man. We'll just start from the beginning, man. So are you Tennessee born and raised?
Yes, sir. I was born in Nashville on Hardin Place and over in Antioch kind of area. Grew up playing ball and stuff, going to school in Smyrna, Murfreesboro area. And like I was telling you, built houses and done some remodeling my pops from Athens, Tennessee to Clarksville. So just all over Middle Tennessee. And I've done that since I was like 6, 7 years old. So yeah, I grew up in Tennessee.
Right. Well, what was it like growing up? What was life growing up like out that way?
Man, it was awesome. My grandfather moved here in the '80s, and he bought 5 acres and built a house. And so my whole life, like, my dad, like I said, built houses. My mom, she worked as well. So my grandfather would pick me up from school, take me to ball practice, and like I grew up just on those 5 acres and driving back and forth because he was from Alabama. My grandmother was from Arkansas. So just going back and forth to those places, working on the farms. I picked green beans one time for like 3 days straight on a 100-acre farm in Gewan, Alabama. Yeah. Took a horse and buggy to Walmart, Mississippi when I was like 10 years old.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Man, it was cool, really. Like my uncle, I had an uncle Reedus. He had, and like I said, they were from Alabama. And if you ask anybody from Alabama that doesn't live next to you in Alabama, they doesn't even exist. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But at one point in time or another before he passed away, he owned or leased like every open piece of land in this little town. And all of it, like he raised show horses, and then he done he sold vegetables, so like green beans, peas, tomatoes. Like people come by and buy the bushel, like a 5-gallon bucket, straight off his front porch. And then he had some like hunting dogs and stuff he raised. So we go out there and do stuff like that. But that's pretty much how I was raised outside of sports. Like I said, that's why I was telling you. I'm very technological. Like I'm not really good with content because I don't really know how to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I grew up outside and don't really care to know how to do it. You know what I mean? Just being honest, it's not my thing.
Yeah. So when you grew like growing up in that small town, like on and off, were you into sports or was it mainly like helping out with like the family and stuff like that?
Oh no, my parents, like I said, my parents had me big into sports. I played baseball. I was big into baseball until I got big.
Yeah.
And then it was like I was still really good at baseball, but I wasn't, for some reason, to run 90 feet at a time in baseball. They run like miles a day at practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So like I converted over to like playing football and stuff when I got to high school, and that consumed my life.
Oh yeah, 100%. Where'd you play high school ball at?
Blackman in Murfreesboro.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then I would like I said, it consumed my life. I practiced, worked out, whatever, 3 times a day for 4 years. Like that was what I was gonna do with my life. Ended up going to college, went to MTSU. First semester, I changed my major 4 times.
Yeah.
And was like, you can't work when you're playing sports in college. There's no time. So I'm broke, fat, starving on a diet. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, nah, man, I go back to work with my dad. So like fall break, I dropped out of school, quit football, and went to work. And then about 2 years later, my dad, or like 6 months into working with my dad closed his company, went to work for a company. I wasn't trying to really work for anybody. I had done what I had to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Making money. And didn't really get in trouble. Was at a hotel with somebody that got in trouble and had a little bit of blood on me, so I got like a citation to go to court or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so at that point, the only time I'd ever worked for anybody besides my dad, I was like a bouncer for this guy, Forrest Bradford. He was like a whatever in the National Guard. He was like a badass.
Yeah.
But I was a security guard, and I caught that little charge or whatever. And first thing I did was went to him and I was like, hey, you know, can the military get me out of this? Like, if I was like, I've been listening to the military, like, fuck it, like I ain't got a job, I ain't doing nothing else. And
just
he's
trying to
like,
find your way, basically.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have a kid, nothing at this point, and I was like, I'm just trying to do better than what I'm doing.
Right.
And he was like, maybe let me see what's up. And so like he gave me a bunch of paperwork and shit, and like I'm like the guy that's like, just like with music, it's like football and everything else. If I'm gonna do it, like we're gonna do it. So I got to reading into it and stuff, and I was like, fuck this. If I'm doing it, I'm joining the Marine Corps. And so I got down to literally, you won't believe it, I weighed like 221.
Yeah.
Like the smallest I'd ever been in my life. And I was like taking practice tests, meeting back and forth with the Marine Corps, this, that, and the other. And I worked with this plumbing company for like, my dad worked with a company. His check kept bouncing. And I tried working for that company and I wasn't down with it. So I left and went and worked for this plumbing company for like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they paid like double overtime, all this shit, but we worked like 80 hours a week those 2 weeks. So I took every dollar I had and I told my dad, I was like, I'm going to go start the business up or I'm enlisting in the Marine Corps. Like, there's two options.
There's
you
your
know
two paths.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you start the business, I'll help you. So I started the business back up. My dad helped me. I didn't join the Marine Corps. And I started building houses and like was going to just do business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And didn't really have no desire to actually build the houses myself.
Right.
But my dad being old school, like he wants to own the business and work. So it was always a conflict of interest there. But ended up building this business to one point in time I had like 20 employees.
Yeah.
And we were building like 2 or 3 houses a week and everything was going good. And then find out I'm having a kid.
Oh, okay.
Basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that time I was like 23, so I'd been running that business like 4 or 5 years. And I found out I was having a little girl and kind of went, honestly, buck ass wild because I wasn't expecting it and it scared the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I started really, I'd always listened to music, but I never listened to anything like outside of mainstream music.
Yeah.
And some guys from in Smyrna, well, actually, Brandon had done a song for Upchurch.
Okay.
And then
CP.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then some of my buddies, like another one of my buddies, had like a spot, and they were like always talking about this Upchurch guy, and I was like, man. At first, I was just blowing it off, like, man, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to get all that. And then I started listening to his music, and then my brother, my whole life, has been the biggest Jelly Roll fan. Bro, I told this story on the last little podcast I done about me and my brother riding around. It's like, imagine like, well, just me and you riding around in that 80s model fucking shitbox S10, like I said, bumping elbows when we breathe, listening to fucking Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House. You know what I mean? Dude. Like it was like old school Jelly. We were kicking it. Yeah. And so like, then I was like, maybe I should, you know what? I like music. I'm going to try to start writing music and shit. And for like 3 years, I just wrote basically poems in my phone because I'm not like, not the best with like, I can strum a guitar, play a little bit, but I'm not like fucking playing no guitar.
Right.
And then I tripped shrooms for the first time, and it's when I recorded Bank Fishing, and it kind of just fell in love with it.
So rewinding a little bit, we'll get back to when you first started releasing. What was it that you was listening to growing? I know you're saying Jelly like you and your brother, but do you remember something like as a kid? Was it mostly like country music you was hearing with your parents or grandparents or something?
So my grandfather I grew up in the Church of Christ. So like if I was with my grandfather, we were listening to like Alan Jackson gospel music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my pops is like and my mom both grew up in the 70s, just like Leonard Skinner,
Yeah.
Alabama. Aerosmith's my favorite band.
Yeah.
And so as a kid, they used to say when they would turn Leonard Skinner on to put me to bed, turn it off, and I'd start crying.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to be like in high school and stuff, so you go through those phases of music where it's just like you're onto this, onto that, onto this, onto that.
Yeah.
So I was like, always country was always there, but like in high school, like I played football, so like all my boys were listening to rap music and this, that, and the other. So I had actually got my dad, and to this day, when my dad will turn on his radio if he's like feeling a little like wants a little bump.
Mm.
Now he'll put on a little Jelly Roll, but like if he's like gonna go start drinking and dancing, he'll put on like Apple Bottom Jeans and Whatever You Like by T.I.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like
Yeah.
it goes from literally the scale is
All the way across.
endless. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
That's cool though. You have those multiple influences though. When did it become something that you wanted to start doing? I know you was trying. You was focusing on the business stuff, and you went through the football stuff, college, and all that stuff. When did music start becoming something that kept staying in your head? Like I want to maybe try this, like as far as singing or whatever.
So when like I was 23 when I found out I was having my daughter, and around then that's when I like heard some of church's music, and then got to thinking about Jelly Roll, and he was starting to like kind of pop off a little bit more right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like that was probably like a year or two before Save Me come out.
Yeah.
So
Like
he was like gaining
which
some
makes sense.
traction.
2018. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
you know what I
sense.
mean? He was gaining some traction. And then like a couple like so then like I said, a couple years of that, like my daughter was born and I was still kind of wilding out and I had tripped mushrooms for the first time. So I was probably like 24, 25. And I had all these songs wrote in my phone. Like I still have a lot of them, but I had like I probably got 1,000 songs just wrote in my phone that I had just never put music to.
Yeah.
But I can sing them to you a cappella. Like I said, I grew up in Church of Christ. There ain't no instruments. It's just
Right.
singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
sing them to you with like my melody and a
Yeah.
flow and everything, and it'll sound cool. And then I just need a producer to put something to it. Well, then like the night we tripped shrooms or whatever, I was like I said, I'm going to the studio, and I went to the studio and we recorded Bank Fishing, and that was like a January of 2020.
Yeah.
And then May of 2020 comes around, like right when COVID is really kind of getting kind of big, and the Cannon County Fair had been hitting me up for like 2 years, wanting me to build this awning thing, like a stage,
Mm-hmm.
and because I build stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like I had gotten into music, and they called me, and they were like, "What's it gonna cost?" And I was like, "Let me perform."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's what it costs.
Yeah.
And so instead of even building a thing, they were like, "Do you want to play opening night?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we played that first show. Ended up getting kicked out for smoking weed, and
Hell yeah.
then I played one more show later that year in like June,
Mm-hmm.
and then I recorded a couple more songs, and then went through like some custody stuff with my daughter. And during that custody stuff with my daughter, I wasn't doing music because I spent all my time and money fighting for my kid.
Yeah.
And literally, absolutely lost my marbles to the point where I like put a gun to my head, went nuts, went to jail for the first time ever in my life.
Mm.
Spent 12 hours in jail.
Was it
Wasn't
just on
like a
some like
long
disorderly?
time.
Was it like disorderly
They
shit?
charged me with a domestic because like my old lady was there, and like I was going to go shoot myself, so I like shoved her out of the way.
Oh, like you were just crashing out.
Yeah,
Basically.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were trying to stop me, and I just wanted everybody out of my way. She didn't want that, but there's some
If they
young
get
punk
caught.
ass cop. I had 3 cops there. These 2 older cops let me go back in and go to sleep. This like 18-year-old cop was like, "You're going to jail." You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they got caught out there, so they go
Type shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in all reality, like I said, I had been losing my marbles from not doing music. So this was the second time in like 6 months I had put a gun to my head, like, y'all gonna let me do, because like I said, I run this business with my pops. So if I quit, I feel like everything, like my pops are relying on me and everything. So
Yeah.
like it's stressing me the hell out.
It's the pressure of that, and the stuff, maybe like the stress of the custody stuff.
Yeah,
Not
and
being able to do music, which is like your outlet.
yeah, man.
It's like a perfect mix of like BS basically.
And so second time out, they're supposed to take me to the psych ward, but like I'm a big dude, and I told this little cop when he told me he was taking me to jail. Basically, I was like, bro, I'll put myself in this cop car and I'll let these two cops right here handcuff me or whatever, but you need to stay the fuck over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going through a bunch of emotional shit.
And you knew that you would have snapped off. If
Yeah,
you would,
yeah,
at him at
you
least.
know what I mean. So like, out of all respect for everybody, I was like, look, I'll like give you the respect of letting you take me to jail harmlessly, handcuff me, put me in the car, but they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so like they were cool with that. They took me to jail, and then like the custody stuff just got worse. Uh, spending and actually like it's not over yet. April 17th, me and my little girl's mom supposed to go sign all the final paperwork. Like I got 50-50 custody of my kid, and I've had that. You know what I mean? My daughter was never in harm, and nobody was ever in harm really but me. But it was I spent the last year having to blow into this fucking thing saying I don't drink around my daughter.
Because of how it escalated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like not being able to like if I want to go do something with my daughter, I gotta bring somebody. Like she's still 50-50 custody with me, but like somebody has to be with me.
Yeah.
Not necessarily her mom, but like somebody in my family, immediate family.
Yeah.
And that's been hell on me and my daughter. And that was like a product of me not being able to control my like I didn't know my limits. You know what I mean? I'm 6'2", 300 pounds. Like I'm not saying I can just whoop anybody's ass, but I've never just had my ass whooped.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's gonna take a bad son of a bitch or a group of son of bitches.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
like I've never like been in trouble or nothing.
Yeah.
And like
You're just going through shit, bro.
yeah, you know what
just
I'm
going through
saying?
shit,
And
yeah.
like I hit rock bottom probably at the perfect time, really. And then just through all that, like I've learned all of my limits, and like I went to therapy, like just kind of got everything out, and I learned to not let shit get to me, man. I used to let every little thing get to me, bro. You know what I mean? But and then I think that's also like a thing of when you're going through so much, every little thing feels like so much.
Oh, everything's like
you know what I mean?
it's like a knockout blow, and it's just this. You can stub your toe, and it's the end of the day. It's the end of the world type shit. Like with you, we'll speak about this. So is all this around the 2020 time frame?
So like I said, 2020 went through 2020 was fine.
Yeah.
It like 2022 ish, and then going into 2023. So like 2022. So like I had a whole year. Like I said, I played a couple shows in 2020, recorded music most of 2020. By the end of 2021, I haven't recorded any music, done it. I haven't been around music, done anything. I'm doing this custody stuff. Then going into 2022, the custody stuff is almost behind me, and I just like lost control. I just lost grip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then by the end of 2022, going into 23, like it was shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also too, the first single, Bank Fishing, you released that under a different name, correct?
Yeah, that's my legal name.
Okay. So Austin Singleton is what you released Bank Fishing under.
All right, yeah. So like,
you want to speak about that?
Yeah, all right. This is actually how we full circle. When I came in, I was telling you how I met Church.
Yeah.
All right. So whole story now. I have a guy that worked for me at the time. Well, I don't like to say worked for me, worked with me.
Yeah.
And but he's like a mechanic. Like they build race car motors on the side. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't build you a motor for shit. I build you a house, not a motor.
Yeah.
So we're leaving work one day, and my tire looks a little low. And we're working in Cheatham County. My tire looks a little low. I'm like, Nelly, you think the tire needs some air? And he was like, nah, it's cool. Bro, we get right past like out of like, you know, the main street county of Cheatham County to like where the liquor store is, getting out of town. Tire blows. Bam. I'm an hour from home still. You know what I mean? Gotta wait on AAA. I'm over here talking bad to Nelly. Like, dude, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
And so the next morning, first thing I gotta do is get a tire. So normally I'm at work. Like if I'm even leaving from Smyrna, I'm at work in Cheatham County by 6 o'clock. Done got breakfast, everything. You know what I mean? Well, the next day I had to get a tire, so we didn't get to leave, and I didn't get to the little store till 8 o'clock in the morning. A little Lakeview Market or what there on River Road right there.
Yep.
And I got to the store right at 8 o'clock in the morning. Got my breakfast and shit. and walking out up church is walking in, and I was like, I looked at him and like I didn't even. I was like, dude. He was like, what? And that was like right when him and Chase had that stuff.
Yeah.
He was like, who are you? Are you with this? And I was like, no, bro, I'm just a big fan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Gotcha.
like we started chopping it up, and I was like, bro, come back to the job and smoke a blunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, cool. And we like swapped numbers or whatever. And I texted him the address and shit. And like an hour later, he pulls back up to the job, and we're sitting there smoking weed and shit. And we're talking about. He was like, so you do music? And I was like, yeah. And I done told him my name was Austin. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was like, so my name. He was like, what? He was like, so what are you going by? And I was like, well, you know. Also, he was like, no, but what are you gonna go by, like with music? And I was like, man, there was this funny thing in the studio one night when we recorded Birthday Present. My buddy was like, man, you got this like Hank Williams, Post Malone thing going on. And I was like,
Okay.
fuck it, call me Hank Malone.
Yeah.
And it was a joke.
Yeah.
And I told Church this, and he was like, nah, bro, fuck that. We're selling Hank Maloney sandwiches, fucking. You know what I mean? Like, we're
Hank
on this
Maloney.
whole thing, bro.
Yeah.
And like, we're dying about it. And then, like I said, like a week later, we go to the racetrack in Nashville, and his pops was racing because it was also right before his falling out with his family.
Right. Yeah.
And he introduced me there to everybody as Hank Malone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so everybody that followed me on Instagram that night and shit, like I wasn't thinking nothing about it. The next day, well, no, so that was like a Friday. So it'd been 3 days later. I go to buy lumber at a lumber company, and his little homeboy has all of a sudden got a job at his lumber company. He's like, "What's up, Hank?" And I was like, "Fuck it, I guess I'm Hank Malone."
You're Hank Malone, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, so it just stuck.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, the more it goes on, you know, I order pizzas as Hank and shit now. So it's just like, it is what it is.
No, man, that's cool though. That's cool that like it took off like that just by saying it. You know, it was kind of, and that's a lot of the times, bro. That's usually how artist names and album titles and stuff like that happen. It's when you're not even trying to think about it. Like it was just somebody in the studio. Y'all was joking around, and it just organically happened. You know.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. He was like, "Bro, you got this like Hank Williams, Post Malone." I was like, "Fuck it, call me Hank Malone."
Yeah.
Like drunk. You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
fucked up. And then, like I said, at that point, it was a joke. It was a whole year and a half later. I told that story at Upchurch, and he was like, "Not like I said, nah, bro, we're still Hank Maloney sandwiches."
Yeah, well, it's the same way that that's how Chatty Bobby came up for me, because it was always Chad Arms has been that's my name, but like that, I just did that as a joke on a song one day, as a bar in a song, and it turned. I mean, that was 2009, and people still call me that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it was in the studio joking around. But what I wanted to ask you too, before we get into the songs that she was releasing in 2023, you was talking about going to therapy and stuff like that. You want to speak a little bit about how, because as men especially, like, we don't get the kind of therapy that we probably need.
Definitely not.
You know what I'm saying? What you want to speak about? Was you kind of like against that at first?
I would
opening up and stuff like that.
I'm not against opening up necessarily. I open up, like I'll tell my life story to anybody. My thing with therapy has always been like, I don't want to. I don't want someone to feel like pills will solve all my problems type shit. Like,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like I've been to doctor and they gave me like some shit called Paxil that's supposed to be like off-brand Xanaxes that almost killed me at work. You know what I mean? Like, and so like I'm not trying to go to therapy and tell somebody all my problems and then be like, you just need this drug. You know what I mean? Like I want to go to therapy and have someone try to help me go from, okay, you don't want to be in this business no more. You want to do music. How are we going to get you from point A to point B?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, if you go to therapy, I feel like you should make that part known.
Right. I don't want to be medicated.
Yeah. I just want to get to where I want to get in life. You know what I mean? And I'm a big, like everybody asks me my goals in music, and like my goals in music sound crazy, just like my goals in business. Like my goal, like when people ask me what I wanted to do when I was a businessman, I was like, I'm trying to be like Donald Trump. Because if you shoot to make $1 billion, you probably make $1 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people ask me my goals in music, I'm like, I'm just trying to be entertainer of the year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like, you keep it sound like I got one goal. You know what I'm saying? But like if I get halfway there, then I'm very successful. You know
No,
what I'm
for
saying?
sure. Set just aim high.
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I feel like it's very important to, if you're going to therapy or doing anything, to like state exactly what you feel like the cause of why you're there is, and not like go into it and be guarded, because if the more guarded you are and the more they have to open you up, the less therapy is actually going to help.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always my thing. Is like, I'm not trying to tell this person I don't know this, that, and the other, because it's
Yeah.
not like this. Like me and you got mutual connections, you know, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
whatever, and we have chopped it up on the internet. And this person you don't know, you're just trying to tell them their whole life story. I feel like you got to go in there and be like, hey, look, I ain't done everything right. I don't feel like I've done everything wrong. I feel like my problem is I'm here and I want to be here.
Yep.
And then you find that person that's going to help you bridge
Can you
that
help me
gap.
get there? Yeah.
Yep.
No, I like that, man. That's a good way to describe it. And the thing is too, like not wanting to be medicated is that's a minority thing to say. Like you're one of the probably in the minority of people that go to therapy, because a lot of them will doctor shop and go to therapy for that reason.
Well, man, I've
You
been
know what I
down
mean?
that road, like where I
Yeah.
done it on my own, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
got myself, thankfully, I don't have, like, I have an addictive habit or nature, just like I, like with anything though, like with music or whatever, to where
Right.
like when I first do it, I'm full speed. But if I really like it, I'll keep going. If I really don't, you know what I mean? The only thing I really like is weed. So
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I did like cocaine. Mushrooms helped me get off that. You can't lie, you know what I mean? Just like the smell of it, you know what I'm saying?
You know, for sure. Like the smell of it.
But it's not, once you, like I said, once you go down through it and you've done a lot, especially if you've done it all before therapy, you realize that's not the answer to the problems. You know what I
No,
mean?
for
Like,
sure.
I've already done drugs. I don't want drugs. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
That didn't work.
yeah,
But
you know,
what
if you're
else
gonna
you
give me a
got?
drug, give me some
Yeah.
mushrooms or something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Don't give me no drugs.
Yeah.
Weed, mushrooms, like give me something real.
Yeah.
I don't want no Xanaxes or like, you know, Adderall, no shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
give me something that's gonna make me think about the world and life and how I can expand on what I'm doing and be a better person today than I was yesterday.
No, for sure. So the first song that you dropped as Hank Malone was "Birthday Present," correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was It was February of 2023. Do you want to speak about how that came about? That first song under the new name.
Well, the song, so all those songs, so we dropped them in February. I dropped that one February 2023. All those songs have been recorded in 2020.
Okay, so they were just before
I
everything
was
got
sitting on
chaotic.
them, and me and, like I said, a producer I was working with kind of had like a falling out, all my
Right.
fault, because I was going through all that shit. And like I said,
Yeah.
I told you, I feel like some freaky weird shit happened. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it was everything that happened between me and that guy was on me.
Right.
And like I've told him that it's, you know, me and him are cool now, whatever. But
Yeah.
I owned up to all that. But so I wasn't releasing any music, and then I felt like it was one of them things where my pride was hurt because of the stuff that happened between me and him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I just felt like the relationship might not be the same. Like I said, no fault of his, all 100% fault of mine.
Right.
And and Birthday Present was like 100% done, mixed, mastered, and everything. But I had Horses and Little Blue Igloo,
Yep.
and then this other song I haven't released yet, like on deck, pretty much done.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a buddy of mine that I had met through where I build houses. His dad and him do air conditioning.
Yeah.
And he's big into like fishing. And he had given me a guy's number named, I'm gonna butcher his name, I think, but I think it's Will Houchins, but I say Hutchins.
Mm-hmm.
But he plays keys for Justin Moore. He done some stuff with Luke Combs and stuff. And like he gave me his number when I first started doing music, but I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna blow that shot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when we kind of had a falling out, I hit up Will and I gave him everything but Birthday Present and like that was right after me and Church had met and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, drop Birthday Present as Hank Malone and let Will redo everything else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
like where it's on now.
Yeah, since then that's kind of what I've been doing. And didn't really release. I released those 3 songs. Like like I said, I'm terrible at content. I feel like I put out 3 bangers with no promotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which that's, you know, you live and you learn. And at the end of the day, like Bank Fishing, first song I ever put out, what, 2020, now it's 2024. Um, Dane Linford's Dane the Great,
Oh yeah,
Southern Dad.
yeah.
Pretty sure he's gonna cut it and redrop it under his music
Oh,
career.
that's dope.
So you
Yeah.
never know what's gonna happen with the
Yeah,
song. You
dude.
know what I mean? So it's not like a blown opportunity. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But it's
something may come of it, that you wasn't expecting.
yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? So like it's still out there, and I live on, like, I feel like you do it enough and you put out enough, eventually someone's gonna hear it, and then that song is still new to everybody that hadn't heard it.
Just because it's old to you, it doesn't mean
Exactly.
right. No, I totally get that. Consistency is definitely is key, man, for sure. And currently, like, and you've done a few podcasts here too. In addition to this interview, you've done a few other podcasts, correct?
Yeah, I've done a podcast with the I think it's Hooch Country.
Mm-hmm.
I done one with them, and then I think I signed with management,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they got me some other ones they're scheduling down the road.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Is that the one you did with Dimps?
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
Yeah.
What was that? Was that pretty dope doing that?
It was awesome, bro.
Yeah.
They're a good time, man. We slated the podcast. It was supposed to be like an hour and a half. I ended up, they had like an after party and stuff. We kicked it till like 10 o'clock at night. They're super cool people, man. The whole Hooch Country team, man, is just awesome, bro. Super good people.
Yeah.
They're trying, like, the way they described themselves to me was like they're trying to be the bar stool of music, like country music.
Yeah.
And that was like definitely the vibe the whole time. Like we done it. It was like 70 degrees on Valentine's Day.
Right.
So we done it on the rooftop around a in-ground pool at a hotel in Nashville with like palm trees and shit. You know what I mean?
February.
That's
dope, dude.
Yeah, they were drunk at 11:30. Like, you know what I mean? It was awesome. We had a great time. We kicked it all night. It was a super good thing.
That's cool, man. Future, present and future, you just got more music on the way, like new music?
Yeah, we're about to actually, I was shooting for the 1st of April. It's looking more like it's going to be mid-April. I mean, song's going to be done 1st of April. It's probably going to be like 1st of May. That way we can get some promotion and stuff in there going. But yeah, the first song that I've co-written with anybody that isn't a song that I just wrote by myself, I'm going to release. It is a banger.
Oh yeah, dude.
I showed up. I was supposed to write with a buddy I had met at a round I was playing. His name's Carver Lewis. We were going to write, and I showed up, and he had a couple other guys, Bo Barkley and Drew Shalka.
Mm-hmm.
And first time I ever wrote with 4 people in a room.
Yeah.
But Bo had this little thing going, and we just took off from there. I cut a little demo, and they sent the demo back, and I was like, man, if y'all are cool, I'm trying to drop that.
Yeah.
And so we've been working on it. It's called Way Out Here, and it's going to be, I'll show it to you. It's gonna
for sure.
It's gonna be a banger, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, that's dope, man. I'm glad that you was able to sit and at least give a glimpse to like your story so far up until now, And I think that as long as you keep doing what you're doing and stay focused, man, and keep dropping content and songs, and things are going to keep progressing for you. I think if you just stay consistent with it, you know what I'm saying, and keep doing what you're doing. One thing I do want to ask you, I ask all the interview guests, who is Hank Malone? Or you could even almost double it as who is Austin, you know what I'm saying? Like, who is Austin Singleton, Hank Malone?
Man, I'm first and foremost, I'm a father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Nothing, like, everything I do, I make all my decisions based on my daughter first. If she can't come with me, if I ain't got somebody to watch her, if I'm not going to be able to be present, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost, I'm a dad. Second of all, I'm just a blue collar, hardworking dude.
Mm-hmm.
I've been described by most people as a teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
I got a big heart. I'll literally give you the shirt off my back, even though you probably don't want to see what's up under it. And yeah, man, I do. I'm not gonna lie, like, I have times where I've lost the hold of myself, and I try to work on that. I feel like everybody has that. I feel like the biggest thing in life, and what a lot of people won't say on the internet, is we're all going through shit, and life ain't all hunky dory, and everything you do see on the internet ain't everything.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing I had to realize. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And yeah, so pretty much that.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with us, man. I hope that the Chat Arms TV listeners and watchers, we'll make sure all your links are below. Y'all be sure to tap in. I'm sure we're going to be working more with Hank in the future, and y'all be sure to stay tuned, man. Chat Arms TV, Hank Malone.